Everybody, Vince Dowd with hijackmind.com, and this is the second of my videos on my journey with the vine of the soul, Ayahuasca. It's a beautiful day here in Fort Lauderdale, and I wanted to share with you this second ceremony because this one was the real eye-opener for me, heart opener and mind opener. As I share this one, just understand that I'm going to get very authentic here. I'm going to be very real. I might talk about some sexual things, and therefore I just want to let you know up front because I will share that, but it is from my heart, so I hope you honor it, because to me this is really about waking up and understanding and seeing the world the way it is and not the way we are. So if you recall in my first video, I shared how I went through the process of the sweat lodge. And the first ceremony, I drank a tremendous amount of ayahuasca, and I was very sick with pain in the stomach, and I kept drinking and I kept throwing up energies and demons and bad experiences and bad intentions around sexual conduct that I had had in my life, and it was exhausting. And I saw all the pain of humanity, and I felt all the pain, and I saw my mom and dad's pain. And I was just in weeping and mourning for the suffering of the earth and people, and I'm sharing in that experience. I was honored to be part of it, but it was very painful. So we took a day off after that to be able to rest and to hike in the mountains of Honduras and to enjoy nature and just to be real present with life itself in preparation for the next ceremony, which would occur the next day. So the next day we continued to eat properly with our diets, and we continued to be conscious. And this time I really set a deeper intention to come into the ceremony with a great intention. And again, my key intention coming down to Honduras was not only to wake up, to open my mind's eye, to open my heart, and to reconnect my mind to my heart, so I live out of truth and not out of illusion of beliefs, but to have a knowingness. But ayahuasca, even though you might set an intention, she will take you where you need to go for your greatest healing. And so even as the first night I said, please just heal me, whatever you need to do to heal me, continue to do that work. Because oftentimes I don't think what we ask for, we understand that that's not what we need. Oftentimes what we ask for is what we think we want. But that's not really the key to the puzzle that we're needing right now. So I had my intention, but I also trusted the web of life and the life force to take me. So I want to share with you ceremony number 2. I am going to use some notes because after I did my experiences, I took a lot of notes so I wouldn't lose it. So the next day I actually right away put all this on paper, and I might have to refer back to it because it's been a while, and I hope you enjoy what I share with you. So ceremony number 2, my intention was to heal and to love, to learn to really love people regardless of who they are, and even those who don't love me, those who will hate me, because it's easy to love anybody that loves you. But real love, I think, comes down to when you can love those who do not have the capacity to love you, and also to continue to learn. To me, ayahuasca always provides an environment of school where you will learn. Somebody asked me once, why are you continuing to do it? And the way I looked at it is because every time I go to study, I learn something new, and that's why I continue. It is a healing medicine. So I was a bit apprehensive, again, as I went into day 2. I was already in Honduras. I wasn't going to turn away now. But after the pain and the issues I went through on night 1, I was really concerned about this night. So we did the ceremony, we did our bubble, we did our altar to just worship and thank, I should say, be gratitude of the gods, the energy, the divine beings, the earth, the sun, the sky. And we did one drink. Now this is where it already got unique. The first night I went through drink after drink and just had pain in my body. It was very gross, if you will, very low vibrational energy, it seemed like. This time I took one drink, and in 40 minutes I was transported to different realms and different realities. So I wanted to share that with you. Immediately I was in awe. I was in awe because the ayahuasquero was singing Icaros. So him and his girlfriend were singing Icaros, which again are the songs, the sacred songs I remember we'd sing like ayahuasca, 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 medicina, and they had all these Spanish songs that really you feel in your body. As the medicine works, you sense that they're alive just as much as the plant is alive. And then I started to have understandings of the universe. And this is going to be hard to explain to anybody because there's a difference between believing something and knowing something. And in my life, I've had many beliefs, and I still do, and these can always change because you don't know. But knowing something, you never change because it's a knowingness. And so I went to this place of knowing. I understood that I could see all of the negative in my life, the blockages. I could see the diseases and the darkness. So for me, it was all about purging, but also waking up to, I will say, remember. So what I started to understand is that all of us know this. When those veils dropped, it was not like I was transported into a place I've never been before. It's like I was transported into the place we are all from, where we all know and we all understand, but we don't remember. And when I say remember, it is reconnecting the member. We are broken and we are separate, and we forget that we are one. So when I came back to this place, it was like coming home. And I will tell you that it was more clear and I had more reality in that place than I have right here on earth. And I cannot explain that. What started happening though is I started downloading so much information that I couldn't keep up with it. In fact, there was a quote that I used to use, and it took on new meaning. It is the quote that says, "He who knows does not say, and he who says does not know." And as a speaker, I always felt like what that meant is those people that talk a lot probably don't know much, and those people that don't talk know a lot. Well, that's not exactly what that meaning is according to what I learned this night with ayahuasca. What I learned was those that know do not say because they cannot say. What I've discovered through ayahuasca is what I learned was so intense, so multidimensional, so interplanetary, so amazingly connected, but there's no words that can describe it that I know. So I think when we use language or linguistics, we put everything in a box. Once we label something, we've taken the magic out of it. We've taken away the mystery. When I went to this place, no words could describe it. So there was no way for me to come out of this and be able to tell people. So even now, as I try to tell you what happened, there's no way you're going to ever picture it. There's no way you'll ever understand it until you know and experience it yourself. So I even put on my notes here, I said, no matter what I write here, it will drop the information on multiple levels so the reader will never be able to understand my experience. Those who know do not say because they can't. An experience of this level can't be boxed in to the shallow words or signposts that limit truth and that create a construct of belief. And I not only saw truth, but I experienced a knowingness of it. All the things they were teaching me, everything that I'd learned through the Institute of Self-Actualization programs I've gone through yoga, through the ashram, through meditation, through yoga nidra, through spirituality and my seeking, these were all now coming to an experience in one night where everything was downloading to me tons of information that I could not keep up or process with. It was hard for me to keep up. So this is the best I could do, is to experience it and to be with it and present, and then to write about it the next day. Now this night I did not vomit and I did not have the same pain. I had no pain. I didn't use the toilet. I just went right into state. And the thing I remember first in that 40 minutes is they were singing the Icaros, and I started to be transported. I was so cold and I had blankets over me, but they were almost like invisible. I felt them on me, but I was so cold. And all I saw was universes, multiplexes. And as they sang the Icaros, it sounded like they were right over my ear, like the ayahuasquero was right next to me singing and waving the tobacco leaves. The amazing thing is when I opened my eyes, he was far away from me. But everybody was right there with me. And in fact, I thought they were seeing and experiencing what I was experiencing at that moment. I found out later when I asked and we went to the debriefing that nobody saw what I saw. Nobody experienced that. But yet they were all right there with me. The songs, the music, their voices, their life was right there. It was so powerful. So I laid down in the cold. I had blankets over me. I was still on the earth, yet I was also in a different universe. I was in two places at one time. And I could feel myself on the planet Earth. I could hear the silence. And this is where it gets kind of powerful. I could see multiple universes, and the Ikaros started to activate more visions and more things that I began to see. Every sound was like inside of me. I was seeing great visions. Then I was transported to almost like the Hall of Records or the Akashic Records. I saw entities, all types of different entities. In fact, the first thing that came to me is this is where Star Wars was created. This is where people have gone to bring back these creative ideas on some of these beings and these ideas that you see, because this was very interesting. I saw the planet Earth almost like an experiment. It was insignificant in the grand hall of life. And I don't say insignificant like we don't matter. I mean insignificant like we are not the center of the universe. I saw multiple universes, multiple beings, multiple entities, all busy doing whatever they do. And we were being watched after and looked after almost like an experiment of humanity, of understanding. And it meant a lot to me. I didn't understand it all, but what I did understand is we are just one pixel in the universe of life and the web of life. So it became very, very powerful to me. I went on and I started to see things outside of my imagination that my imagination could never see. I remember it was so intense I sat up into my yogi position for meditation with my legs crossed. And as I breathed in, I could feel my nose expand like the entire universe was breathing in my nose. The oxygen was so powerful. And I felt it through every part and fiber of my being. I was so grateful for life. I was so grateful for the oxygen, the ether around us, the unseen, which is the prana that animates our bodies. Every time we breathe in, we are building life for ourselves. And every time we exhale, we are dying. We are taking out the information from our body that does not serve us anymore. And it started to download to me more and more. Now this is where I became very sensual, and I want to share this from my heart. This is not a sexual thing. I want you to understand what I share with you right now is my own patterns and also what was downloaded to me. So as I started to feel high intensity from everything, I started to understand different things that I've never understood before, at least in this lifetime. So I began to feel my yoga beads. I had yoga beads around my neck that I brought with me, kind of as a icon so that I could touch them and be grounded back on earth in case I ended up somewhere too far away. So that kept me grounded. And when I felt the yoga beads, I had an amazing feeling. They sang to me. They felt amazingly large, and yet they were very tiny. And I felt how amazing the texture was. The round balls and the meaning for every one of those beads to have with it a prayer of honor and sacred understanding. And it was amazing. And I was honored to have the ability to feel, because I've taken it for granted all my life. In fact, I continued to feel. Everything was magnified. Everything was made much bigger and more impactful. So I then felt my hands and my face. And I was amazed to feel something I had never felt before. It was like so powerful to touch my own body, to touch my hand, and to actually touch my face and to feel the skin, to feel my beard, to feel this part of me that I've always put away, because oftentimes we have a very bad body image, especially in the gay community. People are wounded with their body image. So I'm going to get deeper into that as well. Because then at this point I'm feeling myself. Now I'm in my sleeping bag and I'm in my private space, so even though there's people around, nobody can see what I'm doing. I then reached down to feel my penis. And the reason I did this is because all my life I felt like we as men especially are defined by the size of our penis or by our penis. And when you enter into the gay bubble or a gay culture, you come out gay, this is a big thing because men are so visual and men are so sexual, and it's freedom. But I think oftentimes we are defined by a body part that does not make sense. And I've noticed it since I've been out. And this goes back to when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I had a babysitter. She was only a couple years older than me, but she used to laugh at me and said I was a centipeder. So I used to make fun of my penis and said it was small. Well, that wounded me. That stuck with me because as a man, and you hear this in locker rooms, it's always about the size of your dick. And at the end of the day, this started to shape my belief system about myself and my body. And I felt very bad around other guys or around girls anytime I was naked because I felt like I didn't have the tool that everybody else had. Now, this was a lie, and this is not even true, but in my belief system, that's what happened. But as I began to feel myself, I realized how amazing it was. And it was not a bad thing. It was a great thing that I was able to express a sexual and a sensual ability to touch myself. And not to be ashamed of it, but to honor it, to feel how straight it is, how beautiful it is, and how amazing it is. How this one thing holds with it almost like a tool to create life itself. It is the vessel that our chakra and our life energy uses the semen and the sperm to actually create and manifest life through this energetic life force that we call, sexuality. And so I went deeper and I started to have the flashbacks of people saying things about my penis and about my body. And I realized they were all lies. They were, in yoga, they call a samskara, a wound. If you've never heard about a samskara, you can think back to the records, back when we had record players. And if you got a beautiful record and people listened to it, it was beautiful until somebody scratched it. That's a samskara. It's a wound, it's a scratch, and the music's never the same. Each of us have a samskara, and it usually comes down to this one thing. I am not enough. I am not good enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. My penis isn't big enough. Whatever it is. And these are usually the roots of everybody's pain, and it builds this tree of suffering. So I noticed along the way in my life, as I saw other boys' penises, they always looked bigger than mine. And as I became a man, it seems like everybody's are bigger. And a lot of people that I dated felt like you need something bigger, so they move on to somebody else. This all plays into the psychology of body image and the wound. And I started to realize that this was not, again, my pain. This is everybody's pain. And when I say that, I mean everybody creates these constructs. And what then began to happen as I touched my penis, it became a wonderful thing. And I was realizing there's no shame in it. Even though so many boys and men and women have been shamed through masturbation, there was no shame in it. It was the thinking about it that causes the pain and the suffering. So I asked the medicine at this point to teach me more about my body and about sexuality and about being gay. And here's what I learned. I began to understand that humanity has lost most of their feelings. They've lost the feeling. They drown themselves out in alcohol, in drugs, in sex, in anything to distract themselves from feeling. They're afraid to be alone with themselves, myself included. I was afraid to be alone in silence. And as I sat here in silence, without talking, which all my life I've talked, I'm a speaker, I heard in the silence, there's so much information. There's so much magic. I heard the crickets. I heard gunshots. I heard dogs barking. But even when that wasn't happening, I heard amazing symphonies of energetic information downloading to me. The silence was loud, and it made so much sense to me. And so I began to realize, and the medicine showed me, that the reason people are so sexual or hypersexual is because they can't feel anymore. And people are dying and they want to feel. So for them to feel, the biggest way, the fastest way is to have sex. So they will gratify themselves. And I realize that we go into sex not with the intention to give and to love, but we go in oftentimes with the intention to take, to feel. I want to feel. So they go in, and I've done it throughout my life, as I go into feel. And the medicine showed me that the reason there's so much sex is because people are not okay feeling, especially men. They have been bottled up. They have been told, don't be a pussy. They have been told men don't cry, boys don't cry. They have been told to hold it. I did this in the martial arts. I was told not to cry. My dad told me not to cry. People in society told me men don't cry. And I held in my feelings. And the only way I could express myself in feeling is through sex. So as a little boy, I was hypersexual. And all my life, I've been hypersexual because I want to feel. And the medicine showed me that for you to feel, all you need to do is sit down and start to feel what's around you. Feel the knife. Don't cut yourself, but feel the knife. Feel the metallics of the fork. Feel how many prongs are on the fork. Feel the plants. Feel the trees. Feel your face and your body. But more than just feel it, have gratitude for it, because this is an experience of life. And all of it at this time is where it should be. As I get wrinkles, as I get older, this is where it should be, and I will own these. I will continue to do the medicine to know that my age is amazing. And I began to feel myself and to honor myself and to love myself. For the first time, I began to understand that I have a perfect penis, that I have a perfect body, that I am perfect just the way I am, and so are you. And I began to understand. And as I began to do this, it showed me the wound of so many people. What they're really searching for is not sex. What they're searching for is to feel, to reconnect with humanity, with life itself, and to know presence by being right here in this sacred moment. To slow down the monkey mind of illusions and thoughts, and just to be present with themselves and the sacred self, the sacred silence. In fact, when I was at the ashram for a year, one thing we did every day is called sacred silence. And that's where we had no talking and no noise from a certain time at night until lunch the next day. I was never very good at this because I'm a talker and I think a lot. I really never understood what the point was, because when I didn't talk, I didn't feel like much was happening. But the medicine showed me that it's not just not talking, it's being aware in the moments of silence. It's listening to the silence. And when you listen to the silence, all your answers are there. All the information is contained in the silence, not in the sounds. The sounds are the gaps between the silence. We're always looking in the wrong direction. Humanity believes the answers are in the physical things that we see and the things we hear. The truth is, everything that is empty holds all the answers. We are believing the illusions by seeing the things. But we got to touch the things, honor the things to understand. So this is what was being downloaded to me. And so I wanted to share that because as I sat there, I started to feel the blankets. I started to feel my sleeping bag, the mattress. I sat up and I felt the earth. I felt how amazing the earth was. I connected to this planet like never before. And again, I understood how we're killing ourselves on every level because our mind, our ego, does not see. It is in blinders. It is in filters. And the veils were removed from me. Then as the rest of the group began to come down from their experience, they brought fruit. And in the moments I was seated like a yogi, and I found that there was in the body, I found the cosmos and the universes are within us. I understood all the pictures and all the geometric shapes and the many eyes and the inner workings of humans that we see in the spiritual ages. I then realized that the people here on earth can't comprehend the message, as to see it without the experience is not to understand it, and thus not to see it. To hear it is not to understand. I realized we cannot explain in any way because people have forgotten. It was a chance to remember who I was and who we all are. When the fruit came, I began to hold it, a piece of watermelon and a strawberry. And as I looked at the fruit for the first time in my life, I saw a magical thing. I could see every seed on that strawberry, the beautiful red colors that changed. And as I bit into it, it was like a symphony in my mouth. And I just moved it around my mouth, and I experienced this beauty of taste and life itself. Then I ate a piece of the watermelon after looking at the beautiful pink fruit and the black seeds and the rind, and I had a contrast of flavors. And more fruits were passed around. And I was in this grateful stage of honoring fruit, health, food, life, land, people, myself. No church experience, not even ashram, was able to take me to these levels. Of 20 years, it's like 20 years of work on yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, in one night. Actually, this is the second night. It was so powerful to me. And again, I realized the silence was downloading information. So I was taught to slow down in my life, to be more grateful of everything around me. Even the people that don't like me, the people that are going to hate this video, the people that will have issues, to honor them, because they only understand what they understand based on where they are and the journeys they've taken. You might be in the forest, but if you're going in circles, you can never see the road that's further down if you have not been there. I've gone in circles in my life too much, and I want to just follow a path that makes sense. So I learned to feel my body, to honor myself, to feel with my senses. And if I want to connect with my heart more, which was my intention, the medicine showed me I need to connect first with my body by connecting to touch, to feeling the things around me, to feel with my hands, with my body, with my breathing, being consciously breathing, to touch people first before sexual interaction, to really touch them in a way of care, to get involved in relationships, not to take from them, but to see what I can give to them, how I can help their light shine greater, how I can lift them up to be the full expression of themselves. And this is the place we as a planet, I think, need to come from when we're going to enter into a relationship with anything, whether it be another person, sex, a job, anything. It's about what can we bring to give, not so we can take. That doesn't matter. We will get just by giving, but our heart needs to be open to give. So that was ceremony number 2. I will get into ceremony number 3. It'll be a shorter video. That one was a little bit scarier for me again. A little bit. I was expecting another great one like this one, didn't happen. And then the 4th one was totally amazing, and I'll share that as well. And I will share also my journey on mushrooms that I took when I went to Amsterdam, which I turned into a sacred ceremony, which taught me tremendous things. So I honor the plant medicines all around me. I honor you for taking time to watch my video, the plants, the life. I hope you find greatness in yourself. If you decide to do ayahuasca, please take the time to research and understand this is not a recommendation. This is just my journey. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please share it if you did. Please comment. Please subscribe. More videos will come on so many different things, but I appreciate the opportunity to share with you my experience, number 2, with ayahuasca. Jai Bhagwan. Thank you.